In today's video, I will show you how you can start debugging and how you can start making your code much better and how you can solve problems easily. I will show you 3 steps, and I do promise you if you follow these steps, your debugging techniques will improve significantly. And there's no doubt that debugging is the hardest part in coding. So let's start this video. In this video, we will try to build a pyramid. All of you, you may know this game, Super Mario game. You can see in front of you the pyramids. We will build a simulation of the pyramid using Python. If the user, we will ask the user to give us an input. And if the user give us, for instance, 3, what we would do is we will start from 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars in the end, as the height of the pyramid is 3. So let's get started right now and let's go to build our program. So in here, what we do is we're gonna define a function. We're gonna define a function called main. It's the executable function in Python. We going to ask the input and we get the height of the pyramid. We're gonna get the height of the pyramid, asking the user for prompting the user for input. We're going to take int. So basically, in Python, input is a built-in function, and in this function, the the token value, the stored value is gonna be a string by default. In our case, we want an integer, so we're gonna use int function to convert the user input into an integer. We're gonna prompt the user to enter height, the pyramid. And in here, we're gonna call a function called pyramid. I will assume that I already created the function, so I'll call it pyramid. And the pyramid function takes the height variable. So in here, I will create the pyramid function, and the function takes the height. So I'm gonna refer to it as h as an abbreviation. Here, I'm going to loop through the height, and in each iteration, I only want to print the first number. So the user will give us 3 as the height. The first iteration is going to be the first one, like first 1 star. The second iteration is going to be 2 stars. The last iteration is going to be 3 stars. So in here, I'm going to use a for loop for I in range. And here I will use an h, the height, and here I will print the stars multiple I. So in Python, we do have the possibility to multiple a string and an integer. So this is basically a combination. It's gonna say repeat the number of stars in multiple the number of stars I. So if I is 3, gonna give us or print 3 stars. So we finish with this function. Now I'm going to call main. So I'm going to execute the program, and I'm expecting the program to print 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars when I'm giving it 3 as the height. So basically, I'm gonna run the program. So I'm gonna use Python 3 and name the program. It is prompting me for an input. I'm going to put 3, and this is a surprise. So this is not the result I'm expected. In my head, there is a different result. But what I can see is a totally different output. And this is called a bug. I don't know why this is happening. So I'm gonna start assuming in the first line, I wanted 1 star, but instead I have an empty line. This makes me question. And the reasonable question is where this line is printed. So this line is printed in the pyramid function. So I'm going to pyramid function, and typically what I'm thinking is that there's something wrong here in this slope. So instead of printing 1 star, I have no star at all. And in the second line, I only have one star, not two. So basically, the first thing we'll do is we'll use print. Print is your best friend in these situations where it's gonna help you navigate the problem as step by step. So here I will use a print statement to check the iteration number, so the I number. I really want to check what's wrong with the I number. I'm gonna print I, and instead of going to a new line, I want to end the line with a space. So here I'm gonna have the number, the I number, and I'm going to have space and then the number of stars. So I will clear the terminal, go to run the program again, and I'm gonna enter 3, and here we go. So I at first is 0. Ah, I didn't realize that. So in programming, we actually start from 0, not 1. So now I can realize my mistake, and I can see that I is 0. So basically what I would do is in I, I'm gonna make a curve braces, and at 1, this is a simple solution. But there are many ways, but this is, I believe, is the easiest, and you can do as you wish. So I'm gonna run my program again, give it 3, and here we go. We do have 1 star, 2, 3 stars. Now our program is functioning. This is the first method. We'll see other methods. Not very efficient, especially when you will start working in a large code basis. Imagine you have lots of functions and your code is messing with print here, and there. So this is very conflicting. So print is for simple debugging. So in a more advanced debugging in Python, what we would use is we will go to the left side in Visual Studio, and we will find this icon that has like the arrow with a little bug here, run and debug. So this is a built-in tool in an IDE. This is allow you to run the code as step by step. So before we go there, you see this red dots. This is a breakpoint, is where you're gonna start your debugging process. So our Python program runs from top to bottom, left to right. So it starts from the main function. Obviously, what we want our debugging to start from is our main function. So here we click here, so we can define the breakpoint, and we go to click on the run and debug. We click on it. We click on run and debug. Python file, of course, and we wait a little bit. It can start our run and debug. So here I will explain these icons. So what this icon does is continue. So continue means when I'm clicking on it, the program will run fully. Obviously, we don't want that. This is not the purpose of this tool. So anyway, in step over, it means it's gonna run and execute the the following function, but we're not going to go through it step by step. So step into, it's gonna go inside the function and we'll see what's happening there. So this is what we want. We wanna go inside the main function and see what's happening in it. So I would step into it. So right now it highlights this line. This line, it means it's prepared to be executed, but it's not yet executed. This is a variable. And in the variable, we can see there are two main functions, which are int and input. Int is an already built-in function in Python. I would assume that the people who built int function, they're professionals, so I don't need to go into it. So what I would do is I will step over, so this line is going to be executed. And here in the terminal, I will see the program prompting me to enter the height of the pyramid. So I'll enter 3, and notice here in the variables, what's going to happen. So in 3, there is a local variable, which is the height, and now the height has the value 3. Local variables are variables that are only now inside of the function. So if I go outside of the main function and try to call height, height is not, it's not known, it's not global, it's not known across all of the function, all of the program. Excuse me. So this is the difference between a local variable and a global variable. A global variable is now across all of the program. So when we want to define a global variable, we define it in a like outside of any function. Like for instance, in here, we can define any variable and we assign like number, and this variable is global. It's known in all functions. And so now we are in the pyramid function. This is the highlighted line. So this pyramid function takes a parameter of height of 3. So this is my function. I built this function. So it's probably have the debugging process that I need to go over. So what's gonna do is I'm gonna go inside of the function. Now we go to this for loop is already built in Python. I don't need to step into it. So I will assume that everything works correctly for the for function. I will step over. Now we're gonna see we have an age which is 3 and I is 0. I is 0. So in my head, I'm going to do a print. There's a star multiple by. Let's assume here is we haven't corrected that yet. I'm sorry because I kept it. So let's assume that we have a star multiple 0. What's gonna give us is 0. Anything multiple of 0 is 0, so it's nothing. So it's gonna print an empty line. So I'm gonna step over and it prints like a star because they were like I plus 1. But before it's gonna print an empty line because I was 0. So now it pops into my head that A starts from 0, not 1. So I will go ahead and I will correct that. So this is the debugging process. And we have seen this tool. So let's make our code back to what it was. And let's go to the third method. The third method is very common. It's called rubber debugging. Rubber debugging is where you take an object. For instance, in this example, a duck. When you take a duck object and you try to explain your code to it. An object is something that is not like a human. Something is not gonna judge you or make you feel stress or anything. So you just express your mind to our object. And it's really helpful where you try to explain your code to someone because you kind of organize the thoughts in your head, the logic in your head. Sometimes in our heads, the idea is a bit buggy. So explaining it and getting it outside of our head, it's gonna make it make sense to us because we hear ourselves talking, we hear ourselves using our logic slowly. So here I'm going to take a duck, for instance, and I will talk with it. Or I will talk with you and I will try to explain the code to you. So here let's get the code back to its normal shape. And here we're gonna see our function. So let's assume that this is what we wrote at first. And I already seen that the first line is nothing, it's not a star. So I do assume that there's a problem in the pyramid. And in this for loop, I would assume that for I in range of h, h is 3. So I'm gonna assume that for I in range of 3, so the for loop is going from 0 to 3. It's not gonna reach out to 3, so it's only gonna go from 0, 1, and 2. So we're gonna have a print, and print what it does, it's gonna take I, and for instance, in the start, I is gonna be 0. So we're gonna take a print of a star multiple of 0, which is gonna give us 0, of course, 0 combination of stars. So, okay, that's the problem. I gonna start from 0, not 1. So, yeah, I made a mistake. So then I will go and correct it because I know where is the problem. And simply, now I kind of talked to myself and I realized my mistake. It's really good to track your code or your logic through, explain it to someone. It's gonna stick more into your head. So, hopefully those are all of the steps that I usually do and I usually follow, and they're really helpful. And I hope they will be helpful to you too in the future, in your upcoming bugs when they will appear. Obviously, you will have bugs in any code you write because that's the way it is. And see you in another video. I hopefully this has helped you enjoy coding, and see you again.